I think everything happens for a reason in life, and there's been a lot of bad times, but there's been a lot of good times too. And I'm, as crazy as it is, I'm just as thankful for the bad as I am the good. Because that bad made me who I am today. Not that I am anybody, but I know where all my glory goes to, and it's Him, because He pulled me out of some ruts that a lot of people don't come back from, and I'm so grateful for that, and I'm humbled by that. My name is Jason Reece. I am with Reece's Appliance Repair. My business is based out of Guthrie. We service pretty much just the Guthrie area, Logan County area. 95% of my stuff is here in town in Guthrie. Service washers, dryers, refrigerators, ranges, pretty much any in-home appliance, besides blenders and toasters and all stuff like that. It doesn't matter if you live in a $800,000 house at Oak Tree or if you have a one-bedroom house behind Homeland. You all get treated the same. I appreciate the connections that I've made just in this, and I get to hearing people's stories and how they've got from point A to point B in life, and who their provider is. I feed off of that, so I don't really consider what I do work. I don't really know what I consider it, because that's how I feed my family, but man, when I get up and I go out in the morning, I am joyful. I mean, I love what I do. I get to hear people's stories, and I think that's connecting with people like that. It's probably what I enjoy the most about my job, is hearing people's stories. It's pretty cool. Well, we hosted chamber at the detention center this morning, and one of the reasons we did it at the detention center was because we don't really have a place of business. Most of my stuff is in-house repair, and I actually happen to be the chaplain at the jail down there, and Damon and I are all the guys down there at the deputy, they're just a good group of guys down there. And I think bringing community together in a place like that, I think is important, and I think it's important too because a lot of those men and women in that, they know where I was 7 or 8 years ago in life. They know I was addicted to opiates and alcohol, and I would never say that. I'm never proud to say that, but being able to accept it and to say that, and I remember those bad times. So I know those people. A lot of those people know that. You know, I just want people to know that those bad times are temporary. But when you're in it, you feel like it's permanent. But so many people get stuck in those times, and they think that they're never going to come. And I was that guy 7 years ago. So I just think just being involved in the community and giving back. And if I go in someone's house, I want them to know that I care about them, that I love them. And if you can't afford to pay me and you have to wait, tell me. I'm the kind of person that I think that if opening up a door for somebody at Walmart can change their life. You don't know if they were recently divorced or if they recently lost their job. If you can buy someone a cup of coffee or just be kind and encourage them, man, that can save their life. You just don't know. You don't know. I don't know what you're going through, and you don't know what I'm going through. That's just the way it is. So why would I try to be ugly to you when your life could be full of turmoil right now? That's just the way I look at things. I worked for a furniture store in 1996, pretty much after high school. I didn't want to go to college at the time, and I knew that I had to do something, so I took a job at Ackland's Furniture, and taking that job at Ackland's Furniture changed my life. I mean, because I wasn't really handy growing up with tools, and I had to learn how to work on stuff because we sold appliances, and had I not ever took that job, I wouldn't be in people's houses fixing their washer and dryer. So it's funny how when one door closes and you think you don't know what you're doing with your life, it's actually God setting you up for something special, but you don't realize it when you're starting out in it. We closed the store down, the furniture store down, June 30th of '09. It's weird when you work for a man for 13 years, and that's pretty much the only job you've done, and you get paid every Friday at 11:30, and then you shut the doors, and you still need to provide. It's scary. So when the furniture store closed is when I actually opened up business. I was doing appliances. I helped my brother-in-law pick up trash 2 days a week, and then I worked at the car wash. I was up there 2 or 3 times a day, but I did what I had to do to put food on the table until the appliances hopefully got big enough where I could just do this alone. So in 2010 or so, I was able to quit picking up trash, which I thoroughly enjoyed, if you can believe that. And then in 2012 or so, I was able to give the car wash up and then really go at this full time. But it's crazy because it's human nature for us to worry. When you get paid at 11:30 for 13 straight years and you're not getting that check anymore, it's scary. But man, when He says He provides, and He has provided. And I worked hard. I mean, I worked too much, but you had to do what you got to do until you get your business established and you can actually make an honest living. And here I am, and I'm grateful. Well, getting to a place in life where you know that no matter what, things are going to be okay because you know who your Creator is. That's a good place to be. I haven't always been there. I mean, I've been a churchgoer But that's all I was. I wasn't all in. And it took 6 years. 2015 was the time, June of 2015 was the time I got all in. I was born in Guthrie, so everybody knows me. And all my criminal stuff, all my driving under the influences and arrests, which there were a few, people seen. But people have also seen that God has done something special in my life. And I don't think that when God removes something from your life and you have no desire for that, I think you're extremely selfish if you don't share that gift. And I don't think you can keep that gift if you're not willing to give it away. I really don't. So, and I get chills saying that. God changed things in my life, and He can change things in anybody's life. And my heart is trying to help those that are addicted to drugs or alcohol. Eventually, I would like to do that full time. I do it a lot now, probably too much. That's just being honest. But I know how it feels to be broken and hopeless, and to think that suicide's a plausible option. I know how that feels, and it's a place I wouldn't want anybody to be. And they need to hear the truth, and they need to know that you can change. It takes work. It takes work. You have to be willing to commit to a different life. They tell you in recovery, you have to change people, places, and things. That's cliche. I can change people, places, and things. If you, in fact, change people and places and things, you've changed everything about your life. They put it like that, and it sounds simple and it sounds small, but if you change all three of those, you've changed every facet of your life. People get out of incarceration, they go back to the same environment. When you subject yourself back to the same environment, you are probably 99% going to relapse. You may be strong enough for a while, but if you hang around trash long enough, eventually you're going to start smelling, and that's just the way it is. Now, but it goes both ways. You surround yourself with people who have dreams and aspirations or going places, and eventually you're on the same roads that they are. And I've got a lot of good people in my life, and I'm so grateful for each of them. I think you have to be willing to surrender to God. If you're able to surrender to God, I don't think many people can get there. It's one thing to say it. It's another thing to say, when my wife had filed for divorce in March, I got the divorce papers a day before my Brayson's, my youngest, day before his 4th birthday. It was 2015, March 27, 2015. Now, I had gotten a DUI in 2009. I'll go back a little bit. I hurt my back moving a piano at that furniture store, 2007. Got prescribed 30 Lortab. I had never taken a pain pill in my life. I probably took 6 of them. I threw them away. And this pattern repeated itself for a while. Well, next thing you know, I was getting 100 Lortab, 100 pain pills, and 100 muscle relaxers. One evening I take my wife out to dinner, and I have a glass of wine, not thinking that I had taken a pain pill an hour before. And after about 30 minutes, the mixture of the two, how that made me feel, I fell in love with it. I did. It's heartbreaking to say, but I fell in love with that feeling. And that feeling ruled my life for on and off for 5 or 6 years, 7 or 8 years. I got a DUI in 09, I got a DUI in 12. I rear-ended a guy December 3rd of 2014 after I dropped my son off, and I was not intoxicated, but they gave me a sobriety test, and they took me in. And I was so angry. I was angry because I had been doing things in that time frame that I shouldn't have been doing, but that morning I hadn't. And they wrote me up. Well, I couldn't ever get over that of being innocent that morning, and that just led to me spiraling down to a bad, bad place. Marsha had kicked me out a little bit, and I didn't have a place to go. And then I'll never forget, my dad was still alive. I was over at Mom and Dad's house, and a guy got out wearing a suit, and he had a briefcase. And I was like, what is this well-dressed guy driving a Mercedes pulling up here? He said, are you Jason Reece? And I said, I am. He said, okay, I got something for you. And it was divorce papers. Still hits my emotions telling you about this. It was the worst day of my life. I was so broken, but all I knew how to do to cope with those divorce papers was drink alcohol and take pills, because I was trying to escape to a place that no longer existed. I was just running. April 11th, I'm supposed to be in court at 1:30 for that DUI I had in December. And I had it beat because everything came back. Now, there was traces of things, but it was going to be dismissed. They pulled me over at 10:30 on the west side of town, and I had 60, it's 10:30 in the morning. This tells you where I was at this time. I had about 60 open pills, just not in my pocket, and an open container. And I remember when they pulled me over, one of the officers, who I'm really good friends with today, said, when are you going to quit doing this? and they took me in. And I remember I bonded immediately out. And from April 11th to May 14th, I don't remember much. It was partying, passing out, doing it again. And I was running a business. I don't know how. Well, May 14th, I go out to my brother's house, and I hadn't slept for a few days. I'm literally at the point of a mental and physical and emotional breakdown, if I didn't break down. And I leave his house, and I get out on the 105, and I can feel my body shutting down. I knew I needed sleep. Well, I get out on Highway 105, and next thing you know, I wake up, and my cruise light is set, and it says 78 on my 2015 Silverado, and I look up, and there's a tree from here to that fence. By the time I got my foot from because I had it on cruise, to get on the brake, I hit that tree, and that was the third truck that I had totaled in 9 months, and it was the 11th accident I've had in 15 months. It was bad. It was so bad. Well, they put me in jail, and this time I wasn't going anywhere because I was a flight risk. They should have done it a long time ago. But where things changed, I'll tell you two brief things real quick. June 1st, we had a divorce hearing. I was incarcerated. And Marcia and her attorney, I'm sitting there with my attorney waiting for Marcia, and I just can't believe, this tells you how sick I was, I can't believe my wife is still going through this divorce when I'm in custody. How dare she do that? That's where I was. Yeah, I wasn't very healthy. So I can't wait to see her, and we're in a small room, and they finally walk in, and once I see her, I'm going to look at her, and just, how can you do this to me? How can you? I finally get the gumption to look over there, and all that anger and hate toward my wife, we're still going through this, it was like God reached down and pressed pause, and everything just stopped, and I looked at her. I was like, my God, what have I done to my family? What have I done to my wife, my kids? And I cried. It wasn't just a couple of tears. It was sobbing uncontrollably, because I could feel things again. I masked my feelings for a decade, and I could feel things again. And I remember it so bad. I remember just it was bad. And I remember walking down there, and it was like 4 days later. They make me trustee so I can get to working again, and I'm just broken, and I haven't had my spiritual awakening yet. I'm starting to feel better, but I'm supposed to be outside working and being a husband and being a father. I'm not supposed to be in here. I was exactly where I was supposed to be, but I'm not supposed to be in here. One morning, June 12th, the day before my 38th birthday, I'm sweeping the front of the stairs. No one in my family knows I'm trustee yet. I see our white Tahoe at the time pulling up on Broad. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's my wife. I mean, I know she's not happy with me right now, but that's my wife, so I don't act like I see her. And I keep sweeping, and I'm just sweeping. I have my head down, and as the car approaches, you can hear it start slowing down. I'm like, the car's slowing down, so my heart's fluttering. Maybe Marcia wants to talk to me. It wasn't about that. The two passenger side windows rolled down. It was my two youngest kids seeing me in County Orange. That moment changed things for me. That moment broke me. I mean, every emotion you could feel from, man, I love you kids too. I'm sorry kids. I mean, everything, every emotion you could feel all at once, and it was overwhelming. They drove by, they turned the corner, and once they turned the corner, I went right up inside that dispatch stair, and I went in that bathroom, and I locked that door, and I threw my broom down, and man, I hit my knees, and I cried out to God. I said, I'm done. I don't eliminate my will in all this. If it's your will for me to be a husband, or a father and not a husband, it is what it is. What you do with me, with what you want to with me. And if that means me living 10 miles from my wife, it is what it is, because I am done. And I can't tell you, at that instant, something greater was in that room. And I knew. I didn't know how, I didn't know when, I didn't know why, it didn't matter. I knew things were different. And since that moment, I've lived a fairy tale life. Since that very moment. It wasn't easy when I got out of rehab and I got my own apartment, and we're still going through a divorce. It wasn't easy because I wanted my wife back. She would come over and we start talking again, and it's like we were dating again. We were getting to know each other again. I was like, man, we're still going through a divorce, but man, I appreciate this. And it was hard. I would walk her down and I would say, look, can't you tell something's different? I never did do that because I didn't want to impose my will. I wanted God's will to be carried out in all this. One night in particular, man, she came over and she showed me the new dog the kids got, and it was just like we were better than dating. And I walked her down, and man, I remember I didn't want her to see me tearing up, but as I walked up the stairs, I was just crying, just sobbing, because I remember grabbing the phone, and I wanted to dial her number, but I didn't. I remember just sobbing, and I hit my knees, and I woke up that morning about 4 o'clock in the morning. Apparently I was reading the Bible because I fell asleep and I had the Bible on my chest. And then like a week later she came, and she sees that a lot of good's happening. Business is good, I'm healthy, I'm training again, things are just good. And I walk her down. It was a great evening. And as I'm walking up, she said, "Hey." I said, "Yeah." She said, "How is it that you're the one that got us all in this mess, and I'm the one that's stuck?" Oh, that hurt. That hurt to hear. But I needed to hear that, and I needed to hear that. I didn't even know what to say to her. Then there's about 2 weeks later, she said she was going to stop the divorce. Best day of my life. So that's why I have a lot to be grateful for. That's why I walk around and I try to shine my light everywhere, because it hasn't always been like this. I've been given a chance that, and I told God, I made a deal with God. Not that I'm anybody to make a deal with God, but I told him, I said, if it's your will for us to be husband and wife still, you'll never have another peep out of us. And somehow, some way, he delivered it. But even if he didn't deliver it, I'd still praise him, because I told him that I would, and I meant it. I meant it. But it just so happened, when I accepted the fact that I may have to be her friend, that's when he started working on us. It really is. Well, I mean, I believe that. I do. You get me crying on here. It's still emotional. I mean, I can still feel that. I remember all that. I remember how I pray to God every day. At my worst, emotionally, physically, mentally, spiritually, I don't ever want to forget that feeling, and he don't. So when I go share my testimony at church somewhere, a lot of times I'll cry, and that just reiterates he's not letting me forget about it. Things are good, but they're good because he's good, and he can restore if you allow him to work. And it's not easy sometimes, but things can change. It don't matter how bad it is in your life. Things can change if you give it to him. I could go on and tell you things that would just blow your mind. I won't bore you with all that. It's just crazy what he does, what he can do when you allow him, when you put him at the center of your life. Every decision you make, you try to be mindful, is that the decision that God wants me to be? You put him at the center of your life, and you be genuine, man, things can change. I see myself as a married man. I don't know if 5 years is enough time to say this or not, but I won't be doing what I'm doing right now forever. I've got some goals I've got set out. My heart is in ministry, in giving back the gift that's been given to me, and that's where I'm able to do that now, and I'm grateful for that. But eventually that's what I want to wake up to do that. I love what I do right now, and I provide for my family in a great way by doing so. But that's just, I mean, my heart is still in it, but my heart is with those that are hurting, that need me, that need God, that need recovery, because there's a lot of people out there that are struggling that you would never dream of, and their pride gets in the way, and they don't think that they can relate with someone, and that pride has killed as many people as drugs have. Yeah. Pride's a bad thing, and it's something I struggle with sometimes. I mean, I try to help people out. I'm like, sometimes I start thinking as I'm driving down the road, man, I'm really making a difference, and I have to watch myself, because I'm not making a difference. He's working through me, so I'm grateful for that. But you got to watch yourself when you're doing so good. You got to be real careful about who you give that glory to. And I think that's progress alone. Just being able to admit that. There's a big difference between happiness and joy. I think a lot of people are happy. I really do. I think a lot of people are happy. Maybe not a lot, but there are several people that are happy. But I don't think a lot of people get to experience pure joy. That joy comes from the Lord, only source of joy. And to be able to experience that, I'm not joyful 24/7, 365, but most of the time, love you, most of the time I find reasons to smile. Because when you have so many reasons not to smile several years ago, little things, sunrises, trees turning green, flowers blooming. Man, when I was living life in the fast lane, you just don't notice stuff like that. I mean, now when everything slows down, you're like, man, I don't ever remember that grass being that green. Well, it's been green like that ever since you've been alive. You're just now starting to see it. If that makes any sense. Phone number, if you ever need me, is 405-819-8293. You can find us on Facebook as well at Reece's Appliance Repair. You can email us at reeceappliance@yahoo.com. You can call before 3. You can text after 3, and I will call you as soon as I possibly can.
Hi, I'm Blake Wimsey with Foundation Insurance. Congratulations to Jason Reece, our Business of the Month Spotlight for July. Jason, thank you so much for sharing your testimony with us. Your story is amazing, and it's great to hear how God redeems us. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and comment below to nominate a business of your own.